Partners in Ministry, a presentation of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation, dedicated to growing ministry support networks, introducing people to a cause that connects with their heart, bringing hope and encouragement to our communities as we seek together to serve as Christ served.
Welcome to Partners in Ministry. I'm your host, Dan Smith, and today I'll be talking with Lyle Miller. Lyle is a stewardship consultant for Everence Financial. In this interview, we're going to look at charitable gift annuities. What are they? Who should consider using them? How I can get started setting one up, and more. Welcome, Lyle, and thank you for joining me.
Thank you, Dan. It's good to see you as always.
I'm guessing most of our listeners have probably already heard about annuities. However, I don't think many of them know much about a charitable gift annuity. So let's start by first telling us a little bit, what is annuity? And then how does a charitable gift annuity differ from a standard annuity?
Sure. There are a number of different flavors of annuities, but basically what they are is they are an insurance product that can provide a stream of income to a person, and there's all kinds of flexibility with them in terms of, whether it's for a defined period of time or whether it's until the end of life, et cetera, whether the interest rate, the payout rate on it is, constant or variable, et cetera. But in essence, that's an annuity product is a product that provides a stream of income. A charitable gift annuity is similar in many ways, especially in that piece of providing a stream of income. But where it is particularly unique is the charitable component of it. So what happens with a charitable gift annuity is that a person will receive that stream of income over the course of their lifetime, or over the course of two lifetimes. In the case, often it's a husband and wife. It doesn't have to be, but they would receive this stream of income over the course of their lifetime, and then at the point that they pass away, whatever is left in that gift annuity goes on to the charities that they want to support. And as a result of that end gift, there is also a pretty substantial tax advantage up front, because there's a recognition that there's going to be a charitable contribution to that. And we'll talk about that, I think, a little bit later, and as far as looking at an example. But then there's also some benefits in terms of the handling of the taxes on how you receive the income along the way. But that ability to be able to support an organization that we care about is advantageous, because for many people, they may want to support an organization, but they also need income over the rest of their lifetime.
Sure. I know on annuities that I have set up a beneficiary in terms of who gets the money after I'm gone. So kind of in a way, you've identified a charity as that.
Exactly.
So, but the biggest difference is the tax benefit as you set it up. Is that my understanding compared to a regular annuity?
Correct. That is, I would say the tax advantage of when you set it up, and then also the taxation of it as you're receiving that income.
Okay. Great. How can an annuity complement my regular retirement or 401k?
Sure. Well, so oftentimes when people are in retirement, they, will naturally maybe move their investments from within a 401k. They'll maybe make them a little bit more conservative to recognize that they don't have as long of a lifetime, and they want to know that the money's going to be there, right? So they want to be less exposed to the market fluctuations, like the fluctuations that have happened in the first half of 2022, for example. Well, one of the things that a charitable gift annuity can do is basically lock in for a portion of their income a guaranteed rate of return on that. And so in effect, it can sort of be the conservative part of your investment stream, if you will. And so that could, that might allow a person to leave themselves with a little bit more stock exposure, for example, and to, especially if they're early in retirement and want to, take advantage of the fact that they may have 20, 30 years to live. And so, they do want to, keep some stock exposure. And so this can be a great way to, like I said, supplement that the income stream with a guaranteed return component of it.
Okay. So give me some examples of who should consider possibly setting one of these up.
Yeah, yeah. In a little while, in a little bit, I will show you sort of what the current rates are on these. But what you'll see when we get there is that once you get into your 60s and especially even into your 70s, the rates really start to get pretty significant for folks. So they tend to be something that a person might look for in retirement. And like I said, even later in retirement, especially the rates will go up. There's another interesting way that people can think about them as well. And that is that one of the flavors, if you will, of gift annuities is a deferred gift annuity. And so this might be someone who says, hey, that sounds great. I don't need the income stream right now. I'd like to hold off on receiving the income stream of it. But for various reasons, they might, have a particular tax situation that says, the tax advantage of the contribution, would be advantageous for us right now. Or, maybe it's somebody who, they're 50 years old and they receive an inheritance. And so they've got a chunk of money there and they want to say, oh, well, this is something I'd like to use in retirement, but I don't really need the money now because I'm still working. So they might, plunk that inheritance into a gift annuity and just sort of know that in retirement, that income stream is going to be turned on. And as a result of waiting, the interest rate is going to go up substantially during that time period because it's had this amount of time to grow, without any income coming off of it.
Sure. Well, as versatile as this tool sounds, it sounds to me like, once again, that when it comes to putting a comprehensive plan together for retirement or my giving strategy, my philanthropy, as I'm getting to get towards the end of my years, it's just one of those deals. Make sure you ask your consultant, my Lyle, as I'm putting this together. Would a charitable gift annuity be one of the things that need to be considering? And if so, how could it benefit me, or how could it fit in the bigger plan? So it's not a replacement of retirement, but it's just one tool when it comes to receiving an income in later years, as well as making a substantial gift to something that you care about. How you can set that up with the tax advantage of that you don't have in some other products.
Yeah. And, one of the ways we often talk about some of these, these different aspects of our financial life is sort of being these different buckets, if you will. And so you might think of the income from your Social Security, for example, being one of those buckets. You might think of, if you're, fortunate enough to have a pension, that might be another one of the buckets that you're receiving income from. Gift annuity can be one of those buckets as well. One caveat I will mention, when you mentioned a financial consultant, there's lots of wonderful financial consultants out there. The reality is that these are a unique enough instrument that not necessarily all financial consultants will receive. We'll be familiar with them. And then secondly, to be maybe just a little bit cautious or cynical, I might note that there's not an income benefit to the financial consultant for selling one of these, right? And so while the vast majority of financial consultants, are above board and want to help their clients and so forth, you do have to recognize that might be a nudge that might have some financial consultants skeptical about them, because it might steer them away from a product that they do receive a significant commission on.
Yeah, I know that's one of the reasons why many times when I'm talking with donors and supporters of the foundation, as well as other ministries that we work with, that if charitable giving is one of your priorities as far as putting together that plan, be sure that you're working with somebody like Everence, or where it's not just working with the standard 6 ways of building a retirement plan, but also you guys add this 7 important category of, so when it comes to charitable work or it comes to your philanthropy, what do you want to accomplish there? And then now you're intentionally incorporating that into the plan.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So is now a good time to be thinking about that kind of stuff, or when is a good time to be thinking about charitable gift annuities?
Yeah. I mean, in one sense, it's all there's, I mean, you could almost say it's always a good time to think about it because, again, circumstances change, right? And so there's different times or whatever. A couple of reasons why I think now could be especially advantageous. I hinted at one of them earlier, just recognizing that the market has been really volatile in the last while, right? And so one of the great things about these is it's a fixed income. It's, what that income stream is going to be. You're not going to have the risk of, what happens if my 401k, suddenly drops by 20% or over a period of months drops by 20% like it has, relatively recently, right? So in times of volatility, that's a particularly good time. It's also worth noting that these do sort of follow interest rates a little bit. So as interest rates have changed, the payout rates on gift annuities have changed as well. Payout rates, now, when I say that they follow interest rates, what I mean by that is to say that as interest rates come up, they might go up. They're not variable in the sense, as in once you get a gift annuity, that is your payout rate, right? But what that means is that on July 1st of 2022, for example, the payout rates went up, in response to interest rates going up. Once those payout rates are there, they're set for forever. So, for example, we have some folks who got a gift annuity a number of years ago when rates were really, really high, and they might be getting 10, 12% on their gift annuity because they got it when rates were particularly high. So now is a good time in the sense that rates have increased, and rates, quite frankly, if a person has money in a bank CD, for example, getting a 0.25% or a 0.5% or whatever, these can be a great alternative to that.
Sure. Well, to help take a little bit of the mystery out of this tool, do you have an example you can share with us that kind of shows how this all works?
Sure. Let me go ahead and share my screen here. I'm actually going to maybe show you, first of all, this is just a sort of a conceptual schematic, if you will, of what these look like. And so basically what you'll see there is, number one, a person can make a gift of cash, of stocks, of bonds, of other securities, et cetera. So this also can be something that can be used to help avoid capital gains. A person can fund these with appreciated assets, for example. Cash and stocks or bonds are probably the most common things that people fund these with. And then you'll see, as I was referencing, that it provides this fixed lifetime payments to you over the course of one or two lives. And then at the end of a person's life, they, the whatever is left in that goes on to the organizations that they wanted to support. So that's kind of a conceptual schematic. Here's what it might look like for an actual couple. And so this is just a couple. He is age 70, she is age 74. And they have $10,000 that they want to put into a gift annuity. For Everence, $10,000 is the minimum amount that a person can put into a gift annuity. And so I'll highlight just a number of numbers on the screen here, with apologies for maybe getting a little bit technical. So first of all, as I mentioned, there will be a charitable, a charitable remainder. There's going to be an amount that goes to charity at the end of lifetime. And so because that's a future value that's going to charity, you don't receive the benefit, you don't receive the tax deduction of the entire $10,000 up front, but you would receive a tax deduction. In this case, for their particular ages, you can see that it's roughly 40% of that total value, right? So that's kind of the left side of this screen. Then in the middle, you will see that 4.9%. That is actually the payout that is calculated by the American Council on Gift Annuities, which is the overarching group that manages gift annuities and sets policy and things like that. Virtually all charities that offer gift annuities use them. And so for a 70 and a 74-year-old, they would receive 4.9% for the rest of both of their lives until the second one of those passes away. And so you can see there in the sort of the bottom middle, they're going to be receiving $490 a year from this gift annuity for the rest of their lifetime. In addition, because a part of that income that they're receiving is actually considered a return of their original principal. A significant part of that is what they will receive tax-free. And so what that effective payout rate of 6.4% is doing there is basically reflecting that a person would need to have a taxable investment of 6.4% to net the same kind of 4.9% fine, to net them the $490 in return or in income. And on this one, I mean, that was just based on the assumptions of tax rates that I put into the illustration. One of the great things that we can do is for an individual or a couple, we can create a personalized illustration that incorporates their ages, that incorporates, that their tax bracket, et cetera, those kinds of things. And then as you see over on the right, you'll see that, the payments will continue until the second person passes away. And then the remainder that's in the gift annuity will pass on to charity with, it's outside of the probate process, so it will happen directly. The charity there, you'll see that I list $5,000 approximate value. That final amount is going to be dependent on how long the person lives, right? And so in our experience in managing gift annuities, the average has been about 60% of the original value. Obviously, if a person lives a long time, that value would be less than 60%. If a person passes away, sooner than their life expectancy, it might be more than that. And and we don't know when the Lord is going to call us home, and so we can't put a precise number there. And so just for our illustrations, we describe it as being roughly half or slightly more of that. And so you can see a number of real advantages there that are happening there. I mentioned that the interest rate will change. And one of the questions that people often have is, okay, cool. So what does it mean for me, right? So here is just a snapshot of what payout rates might look like. On the left-hand set there, you will see this is for a person who gets a gift annuity and wants to, start receiving the income immediately. And this is for an individual. I need to point that out. It's an individual as opposed to a couple. So you can see that as a person gets into their 70s and even into their 80s, that interest rate, that payout rate is getting pretty significant. I would challenge, for an 80-year-old, for example, it's a rare place right now where they can get a guaranteed 7% return, on their investment. Naturally, if you think about it, a couple, because there's two people involved, if there's a 70-year-old couple, that rate is going to be a smidge below the 5.3% because it's calculated based on how long two people live as opposed to one. Then over on the right is that delayed payout, the deferred gift annuity that I was talking about. So this is a case of saying, say a person, a few years away from retirement, I just turned 56. So if I have done this when I was 55, for example, and gotten a gift annuity, and chose to wait to have the payout start until age 65, in that case, then I would have a guaranteed payout rate of 6.8% is what it would grow to. If I would wait until age 70, it was started at 8.9%, et cetera. So you can see how those, increase pretty substantially. So for example, an immediate payout on a 65-year-old, receives 4.8%. If that 65-year-old waits 5 years to receive the income over here, they would receive 6.3%. So you can see that the interest rates for these can be pretty substantial for folks to think about. And again, that it's that guaranteed piece that can be really attractive for folks alongside that charitable gift that they want to make.
Sure. Two questions come to mind. The first one is, let's say that I name a charity A when I set up the charitable gift annuity. 5-10 years later or whatever, I decide, I really would like to switch that to something else. Is that a possibility, or is it kind of once you've set it, it's in stone?
Yeah, that's one of the great things about working with an organization like Everence in doing this, right? Because Everence is the charity that is sponsoring this gift annuity. And so, but Everence is, we describe it ourselves as a pass-through foundation or a donor-advised foundation. So what that means is when you set up this gift annuity, the money isn't going to come to Everence in the end. We're going to have a form on file that says, please have, X% go to my congregation, please have X% go to the college that I graduated from, et cetera. And that's what's different about working with Everence, because, you could do this with, I'll pick on the University of Iowa Foundation or the Iowa State University Foundation. You can likely get a gift annuity with them that would pay out the certain rates, but they are going to receive, naturally, they're not going to allow you to, University of Iowa isn't going to allow you to redirect it to Iowa State,
Sure.
And so that's one of the advantages of working. That's one of the advantages. A second real advantage of working with an organization like Everence is that we actually allow you to split it between a number of different organizations. And so we can have it go, to 2 organizations, to 3 organizations, to 4 organizations. If you did it directly with with another organization that offers it, likely they're going to be the only organization that you could fund with.
Sure. Well, it sounds to me then like, from the IRS standpoint, the charitable gift annuity is set up between myself and Everence, and that's
Correct.
really all they care about.
Correct.
You add another layer to that that's real similar to donor advised, in terms of asking me as the donor to set this thing up, where would you like it to go, and if you would like to change that, or if you'd like to divide it up into more than one piece, so we can do that for you.
Exactly.
As well. Yeah. Is it possible to make additional deposits into that charitable gift annuity, or do I have to do a whole nother one?
Yeah. Great question. With a charitable gift annuity, because there is this fixed income up front that was defined at that time, right? A person can't add to a gift annuity. However, it's a very simple process to establish one of these, and so it's very simple to to create a new one. One of my colleagues refers to folks like that as serial annuitants. They keep doing one. When I was pastoring, I like to tell the story. When I was pastoring, I remember the day that I was sitting in my office, and a gentleman from my congregation came in and said, "I have 13 checks that I want to give to the congregation, because my dad, over the course of a period of time, actually established 13 different gift annuities." And I just sort of have this imagining that at the end of each year, Dad went in, talked to his Everence consultant, and said, "I really like my gift annuity. I'd like to set up a new one, based on, this." He was the farmer, so based on this year's farm income or whatever, right? And so those are, and so we do have a significant number of people who have established multiple ones of these over a period of time. Yeah.
That's great. Yeah, I can also see situations where an event happens and you want to include a charitable gift annuity as something, and 5 years later, something else happens, and so
Exactly.
I can also see, but you do have to start a brand new one each time
Yeah.
that you're going to set it up, rather than being able to add to it. Not like an IRA where you can
Yeah.
you can make additional
Exactly.
contributions to an IRA.
I use the example of an inheritance. Say a couple, they receive an inheritance from one set of parents, from one of their parents, and so they establish a gift annuity, and then a few years later, the other, the spouse's parents pass away, and they receive another inheritance, and so maybe they have 2 gift annuities in that context.
Sure. Well, this is very informative. So if I wanted to get one of these things started, what would be my first step, Lyle?
Yeah, the first step really would be to reach out to someone like myself, and like I said earlier, we can run an illustration then that will identify, okay, what is the payout rate for me based on my tax, based on my age, what's going to be the amount of tax deduction that I can count up front, what's going to be the based on my tax situation, how does that look in terms of things. So we run personalized illustrations for each person who's asking about them, and then it's really a very straightforward process. I mean, it's an insurance contract. It's similar to an insurance contract, if you will, and so it's really just a matter of a check, a very simple form, identifying what are the charities that I would want to support them on passing. So in comparison to some other kinds of of both income streams, or even another tool like a charitable remainder trust. It's a very, very simple thing to do that we could do in a very, very quick time. As we get closer to the end of the year, I mean, it does take a little bit of time. And so I think we asked to have these established by, maybe the middle of December, for example, if you want to get the tax deduction in that year. But it's a pretty straightforward process.
Great. Well, Lyle, just thank you so much for joining me today. This is some good information.
Thank you. It's always good to be with you and to share some of the exciting ways that folks can be generous, often beyond what they thought they might be able to be.
Amen to that. So if you got any questions for Lyle, or if you'd like to learn more about Charitable Gift Annuities, you can see his contact information right here on the screen. You can also find it in the show notes for this episode on our website, or you can see it in the description of this YouTube video. So on behalf of Lyle Miller and Partners in Ministry, I want to thank you for joining us today. And until next time, let's get out there and serve as Christ serves.
This has been a presentation of Partners in Ministry, a podcast of Josiah White's Quakerdale Foundation. To learn more and see the show notes for this and other episodes, visit our website. To stay informed of up and coming broadcasts, subscribe to our e-newsletter. To invest in our mission, donate today.